they should be getting going fairly soon here. Now I haven't seen Niklas's deck list quite yet,
So,
but I
yeah,
would assume, given from what I've seen, that he's on Infect. But that's not sure. Not sure about it.
All right, so here we go. Start off with Gitaxian Probe, and information being key in this kind of really interaction-centric format.
Yeah. Yeah, Gitaxian Probe is really a card that has changed a lot in the information gain.
Yeah.
Because now every color could have access to information, whereas only black has had that option before.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 Deathrite Shaman, 2 Elvish Visionaries here. Now the other cards are...
The Reclamation Sage and Quirion Ranger
I see.
with a fetch land. So there's not really a lot of payoff cards here. He needs to find something from his draw steps and Elvish Visionary. A card like Gaia's Cradle would do a lot, enabling his Visionaries.
Yeah.
And Niklas is indeed on Infect.
Yeah, so Inkmoth Nexus joins the fray here.
Yeah.
So fetch.
Just getting that Deathrite Shaman and...
getting a card in a land as the graveyard as well, so he can get up to 2 mana and play those Visionaries. Make sure that he keeps, as you said, he needs to find something from the top of his deck.
Yeah, and the Elves is a really interesting deck because it has a lot of synergies. In next turn, he could possibly, if there's another land in the graveyard, he could play the Quirion Ranger and Heritage Druid, return the forest to his hand to untap the Deathrite Shaman, enabling both his second land drop and mana for, to cast pretty much everything. So that Heritage Druid that Mikael drew was really key here for him.
So Noble Hierarch joins the fray, Niklas says go.
And Niklas playing a Breeding Pool, possibly bringing his modern deck into Legacy here, which I find quite interesting.
Yeah.
Just upgrading the deck a bit with the Brainstorms and, Invigorate, possibly Berserk. I see a Crop Rotation in his hand, but Breeding Pool is not a card you see from Legacy players a lot.
No, it's not unreasonable as well. As we said previously, many of these players just haven't played Legacy and don't own Legacy decks, so trying to minimize the economic impact of playing this one tournament if you aren't in the market, nor have any friends that you can borrow a deck or some duels for.
And the loss in power level between Breeding Pool and Tropical Island is quite low for a combo deck like Infect, because you don't need your life total, you just need it to stay alive, pretty much. So it's very interesting to see here. Now I believe Mikael still has 1 mana floating.
And plays another
3 more Elves for 3 more mana. So he's able to play his second Visionary, drawing a second card, and finding the Wirewood Symbiote here. This is quite a turn for Mikael, and this is turn 2, playing just different types of Elves, right? So really showcasing what the Elves deck here is capable of. I believe he's gonna pass the turn and return the second Visionary to his hand during Niklas' turn with the Wirewood Symbiote, enabling even more draw steps. Just finding that natural order or
getting in for 1 damage here. Just getting each point of damage in where he's able. Now, if you're Niklas here, do you start just animating and trying to get in for as much damage as you possibly can? You know, there's not much that interaction coming from the other side.
Yeah, I feel like Niklas probably has to try to win the game this turn.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't have the win in hand, he needs to Brainstorm into the win.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He of course can hit for 2 damage with a 2 Infect with the Inkmoth Nexus, but he needs 2 Invigorates or something like that to
so we see
make it 10.
Force of Will in hand there, as well as a Dryad Arbor, I believe.
Yeah. Which is really bad right now, because you expect your opponent to kill you next turn.
Yeah.
So you need to find something. Force of Will, of course, stops your opponent from killing you. but it doesn't really makes you win the game. And your opponent has a lot of stuff on the board right now that can't be dealt with.
Exactly. It's especially difficult with Force of Will, where your opponent is playing so many synergistic spells instead of one huge payoff card, which that you can stop with an interaction card such as Force of Will. So there's the first duel we see.
So he has a tropical island in his deck. Possibly borrowed a few, but left the other slots for breeding pools.
Yes.
Well, he had the perfect brainstorm here with the brainstorm fetch land, which is really, really good for him. Just making sure his hand is as good as it can be.
So he has 4 cards in hand, correct? 2.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And
is that another brainstorm?
I think it is.
Yeah, so brainstorm number 2 here. So Force of Will and then 2 unknown cards in hand.
And
there's the second Force of Will.
And the Glistener Elf?
Yes.
So he doesn't have the pump spells that he needs?
No.
But he has the protection that could stop the win for Mikael on his next turn. Mikael can of course just go for the value with Elvish Visionary, drawing his entire deck, but he would have liked to get an either Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order, something to just kill Niklas instantly. And Niklas really does not want to just pass the turn here, but he's kind of forced to do it.
Yes, digging and digging, but not really finding any outs.
Yeah.
So just slightly too slow here for the really explosive start from Mikael. So untaps all of those elves, and now we'll see what he's what an experienced elves player can do with all the setup he's done the last 2 turns.
Yeah, and we can see that he doesn't really have any payoff card in his hand. So currently he's digging for one of the payoff cards with his Visionaries.
Yeah.
Luckily he has Heritage Druids for days, so he can dig and dig and dig and just generate mana as he goes.
Was that a Sylvan Library?
Yeah, that was a Sylvan Library. Which doesn't do quite as much once you have the Visionary engine flowing here. I believe he's just gonna tap his Visionaries for mana, return one of them to generate even more mana. More cards, I mean. Hoping to find, well, Gaia's Cradle at this point,
now,
I think.
Yeah, so one thing we see here is that Niklas still really hasn't been not only not producing that much, but also playing very fair Magic. He's paying mana for his spells, and not really using any of the more abusing the mana system that's available to most of the legacy decks.
Yeah.
So really operating much more like like a modern deck, like you previously described.
Yeah, and well, if he can find the Invigorator Berserk, then it would be fine. But currently he doesn't have it. And he brainstormed during his last turn and did not shuffle the cards away, so it could be what you call brainstorm locked.
Yeah.
Where you just have to draw the cards you put away, because usually you just want to shuffle them away so you don't have to draw the same cards.
Interestingly, a thing that pops up a lot in Limited and in Cube, specifically in Vintage Masters quite recently, where Brainstorm is one of those cards where people assume it's fantastic due to its power and constructed, but that's simply not the case when you don't have as many reliable shuffle effects.
Yeah, and in Cube in general, it's not as important to find the specific pieces.
No.
And, well, shuffle the other pieces away. Because in Legacy, that's such a high-powered format.
Yeah.
You need the specific answers and the specific spells a lot of the time. So there's a lot higher upside to shuffle away a few cards in a format like Legacy. But, well, Brainstorm is a very powerful card, even in Cube formats and in limited formats in general, due to its ability to be a very flexible card. So Mikael just working on Niklas's life total here, attacking with his symbiote and draining him with the Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, sorry, that visionary has summoning sickness, he says. So Ponder.
Very good for Niklas.
Yeah. He looking for those pump spells he needs.
Yeah, and I think he needs 2 of them, because I haven't seen any in his hand.
Yeah.
A Become Immense would possibly be enough, and that's probably why Mikael was working on Niklas's graveyard, because he knows that Become Immense needs a lot of setup. And Niklas
so we can't quite see, but so he's resolved 2 brainstorms, both of them good.
And there's the Invigorate.
Yeah, does he have the Berserk as well? Though?
No.
So that's a glisten of 2 Force of Wills and then 1 last card.
The Vines of the Westwood, I think, is the last card.
Yeah.
Which requires double green.
Yeah.
So he would need another land for it.
Yeah, another mana source.
So he's not quite there yet. And instead just working on the Infect count on Mathias here. He has lethal next turn with that Invigorate, given that his Noble Hierarch survives. But I think that Mikael could possibly just attack for the win here. Not entirely sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So there's 2 Deathrite Shamans out of picture, I think.
Yeah, right.
And he has the Natural Order in hand.
Oh, right. Well, that's going to change them.
It's going to be met with Force of Will, though. So this is a very interesting turn, because he could possibly just try to go for the win and set up something. But he's kind of choked on mana right now. There's 3. He's kind of choked on mana, and he only has access to like 10 or so, you know. That's the Elves, you know.
Yeah. To be fair, he only does have 1 land.
Yeah, and
lands are supposed to produce mana, right?
Yeah. And it's only like a basic land. It just produces 1. A Gaia's Cradle would have been pretty good for 1 land here. So Mikael is opting for more fair game this time.
Yeah, keeps just digging. More.
Drawing cards.
Scavenging Ooze joins the fray.
Doesn't really do much here.
No. Basically a 2/2 and Sylvan Library.
Oh, this is a miserable turn for Mikael.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed something a bit more payoff this turn. Just draining Niklas's for 4. And I believe he's dead to the Inkmoth Nexus right now. Just animating
double
the Nexus.
Pump. Yeah.
Animating the Nexus, attack with Exalted, pump with Invigorate. That's 6 more poison.
Yeah.
Unless Mikael can find something to deal with it. But it's really interesting, because Mikael, I don't think he has made any mistakes. No. He just haven't found any payoff spells at all.
And he's been digging quite a lot.
He's drawn like 3 or 4 cards a turn.
Looping extra rounds of those Elvish Visionaries, as well as just identifying what his opponent could have and trying to make sure that he locks out them in the as you said, with potential Become Immenses.
Yeah. And it was really good to set up, just making sure that his opponent couldn't win with Become Immense.
Yeah. All right. So we have access to the deck list here.
Right.
So he's only playing 2 Tropical Islands, 1 Breeding Pool.
Oh right, yeah. And here we see the Invigorate play.
That's enough. So going into game 2 here. Now, what do you expect out of the sideboards for these players?
Well, Infect deck.
Yeah.
To sideboard Gutshot.
Yes.
Possibly... no. There's really not much else. You Submerge, I guess.
Yeah.
And Gutshot. Those are good cards. The rest are very, very niche cards for... it's currently 1-1 with Niklas being on the play for this round, I think.
Yeah, so unfortunately, losing the previous game due to a small misplay.
Yeah, his inexperience with Legacy showed a bit because he played an Abrupt Decay.
Invigorate, targeting one of his creatures rather than one of his lands, so that Mikael Mathiasson could use an Abrupt Decay in response.
Slight misplay, but something that you learn by playing the format a lot. Because oftentimes you need to get punished a bit in order to really learn all these interactions.
Yeah.
And Niklas seems to be going for the more fair way of playing this game with fetching the Dryad Arbor. He hasn't found an Infect creatures right now.
So 2 Nettle Sentinels on the other side for Mikael Mathiasson.
Yeah.
So starting to set up for that explosive...
with the Gaia's Cradle.
Oh, absolutely. So it's just slightly out of screen there at the top.
Yeah. So Niklas is... he picked up Blighted Agent this turn, so he's considering his line of action here.
And here we go, the Breeding Pool again, takes 2 in order to play it untapped.
Yeah. Tapping the Breeding Pool in favor of leaving the Tropical Island untapped. Not really sure why, but I feel like you probably wanna tap the Tropical Island in front of the Breeding Pool in case you wanna Daze something.
Yeah.
If Daze is still in his deck. But I might be mistaken about that. Yeah. So Mikael here, access to 3 mana with double Abrupt Decay in hand. I expect him to wanna just Abrupt Decay the Blighted Agent this turn.
Oh, so here we go. Green's on Zenith, so
for
that's
0?
for... No, he tapped the Gaia's Cradle, right? So
yeah, but he plays it for 0, keeping 1 green floating, so he can Abrupt Decay the Blighted Agent as well. I'm pretty certain about that. Just getting that Dryad Arbor and playing the Abrupt Decay. Getting rid of the Blighted Agent, so there's really not much that he needs to fear. That Vines of the Vast Wood is just fine to get rid of from Niklas. Niklas needs to find 9 pump here in order to finish off this game. That would have represented 4 more damage. And he has double Invigorate in hand right now, I think.
Does look like it.
Oh, it's all the pump spells in the world.
There we go, there's the handshake. So Abrupt Decay, Natural Order, and the Rex Sage, right?
Yeah. So he kept in the Reclamation Sage.
Yeah.
The target's post board for the Reclamation